Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. I don't know if this is online or not. Let's see here. The stream is offline. You are live. Okay, the internet can totally see you to stop use encoder. So, all right, bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. I'm here. I don't know if you can see me. I'm back in Los Angeles. I just came back from the Antelope Canyon after, I first did Death Valley, and then I went to Zion National Park, then Bryce Canyon, and then the Antelope Canyon in Page, Arizona, Grand Canyon, and back to Los Angeles. One of the most amazing photographic trip I have ever done. And I like to do, a live Q&A every Friday. I'm a little late. Usually I do it at 12 o'clock Los Angeles time, but something came up and I'm a little bit late. So let's see, some people are joining us. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Léo Garcitua watching from England. Bonjour, Emeric Timelapse. It works. Bonjour, Emeric. John D from Toronto, Canada is here. William Homan from Sweden. Togrid Hazenbelli from Turkey. Mederick. Rajajina from India. Bonjour, bonjour. So people are joining up. If you have a second and you can share this feed, just share my YouTube channel. Say, come, get your friends to come over so we are more people to talk. That'd be really nice. Oh, we have Alexander Ranzo from Spain. Monsieur Houssine from Paris. Miss T.S. Videography from New York. Gilerio Quarto. Buongiorno from Rome. Bonjour, Rome. Joris van Den Gemmen. I'm sorry, I have to go back. Did you start your photography in black, or was it's official from the beginning? I don't know if you mean like did I start with black and white, and so I'm gonna answer questions. So that's one of the questions. I started in color. Black and white came later on when I started working with Yellow Corner and when I started working with Ten House, which is my publisher in Germany. They love black and white. They only want to have black and white, so I have to convert all my work to black and white. So we have more people. We have Kevin KJ from Bretagne, Jan Lo Jensen from Denmark. Good day. We have somebody from Burbank, DM Bonjour, that one of Burbank. Sachin Chosali, welcome. John Cover. Oh, somebody says he can barely hear me. Okay, let me see. The gain is at the max. Maybe put up your volume because I'm really at the max here. We have Marjum Hogendard. Hi from Aalborg, Denmark. All right, Christian. I love this thing. It's amazing to be talking to so many people at the same time. I find it amazing. I really like it. Oh, somebody asked you, did you start, on the black, I see what you mean. Did you start your business official on paper or not? Well, that's a good question, and I'm not going to answer it. No, I am going to it. There is a really good thing about France, is that when you want to become a professional photographer, you basically have to pay your social security with a special organization called the AGSA. But to be able to qualify, you have to have a certain, I forgot the numbers, but you have to have a certain big sales. You have to at least make like $10,000 to $15,000 as a photographer. And so they approve the fact that for the first year, you can just, get out there and start doing billing. And I never worked with black money because all the hotels wanted, I don't do black money to start with, but even if I wanted to, all my customers, which were at the time mostly hotels, they wanted the bills to lower the tax, so they wanted to be official. So there is, I think every country has a status where you can start an activity, on a sort of a low tax system, or as a part-time thing. You have to see your accountant for that. We have two systems in France, which is I forgot the name. Not profession libérale. Anyway, it's a different system in France. I'm really not an expert. You really have to talk to an accountant on that. John D says, I'm looking to buy a camera for astrophotography, mid-range range. I would, honestly, like the latest Canon T2i or the Sony, even there's this new Sony that came out, the RX T1, I think it's called. It's a small Sony camera. They will do a great job on astrophotography because they're pretty good in low light. The key point about astrophotography is to be on a tripod and to have a camera that can handle 2000 ISO. So Sony and Nikon is better, but honestly, all the cameras are so good today that the entry DSLR from Canon and Nikon and Sony will do the job. I have a friend who has an old T2i, and I went with him to Joyce Tree Park last year, and his shots were amazing. Yeah, and he had like a very old T2i from Canon. So the key point is really to have a wide angle and be on a tripod and to go there when there is no moon. That's the main thing, which is in about a week now, I think. Volume is all the way up. Oh, somebody's having trouble. I can't hear him. Oh, some people are having trouble to hear me apparently. Let me see. Anybody is having trouble to hear me? I'm not sure. I have the feeling it's good, but I might be wrong. Your audio is perfect. Okay, so, well, some people can't. So if some people can, it's usually an issue at your home. Anyways, Guillermo Cuarto says, how is the Antelope Canyon photography tour? Did you enjoy it over the regular one? Yes. 6 years ago, in September 2010, I went and shoot the upper Antelope Canyon for the first time. And I went there with a group of people. We were about 10 to 15, and I really had a hard time to get shot. This time, I went in the winter, because I know there was less people, and I did the photographic tour. The upper canyon and the lower canyon. In both occasions, I was the only one with the guide. I had the whole canyon for myself. There were some groups passing by here and there, but I had 2 hours to shoot the canyon. It was amazing. And I came up with, I want to say 40 photos, which are like gallery, quality. I mean, that I could hang in my home, no problem. I'm really happy about it. Actually can show you. I'm going to show you a few shots that I did. I don't know if you can see it well on the stream, but let me see here. I'm going to show you my right monitor, and you should see this photo. This photo is from the canyon. This is called the bison because the Indians, since that this rock has a style of bison, and I made a whole tutorial on how I retouch the photo. I can tell you it's not that easy to retouch because the white balance is really hard to nail. Then the next photo is this one. This is the entrance. This is the entrance of the lower canyon. And if you get a chance, do the upper canyon in the morning and do the lower canyon in the afternoon when there is a bit of sun, because the lower canyon is much more open and you get like this light coming in on the canyon, and so you get a lot more saturation. There is hardly any saturation here on the lower canyon photos. I had to boost much more the saturation on the upper canyon because there's a lot more sun in the lower canyon. So you see some of the shots. I really love it. I just love the textures, the leading lines, the structure. It's a really cool place to be. And next Tuesday, I'm doing a whole free tutorial on how I retouch this photo because it's not that easy. It was harder than I thought, and I really like how they came out. And you will see then. Let me go back on my monitor here, and let's see if we have some other question. All right, we have some more questions here. Aurélien Cotard says, wow, I did it in June. It was like in a factory with the army as guides. Yeah, I heard that it was really bad in the summer. Go in the winter. If you want to do the Antelope Canyon, go in the winter. My stream is cutting out. That's... I'm on the best internet that America can buy, and sometimes that still happens anyway. I'm really sorry. Okay, somebody asked if I visited Pavel. Bonjour, Pavel asked if I did the Horseshoe Bend and if I'm planning to go there. Of course, I did the Horseshoe Bend. When you are in Page, Arizona, and you do the Antelope, when you come into the town, you got the Horseshoe Bend. It's a nice, very nice walk, and I think I got the best shot I ever got of the Horseshoe Bend. I have not. I don't have it here to show it to you, but I'm really happy about it, and I will do a whole episode just on the Horseshoe Bend. Drew Armstrong said, "Bonjour, Drew. I'm so glad you're close. I am in Utah. Yeah, Utah is such a beautiful state. I was so amazed. I'm back in LA now, but I was 10 days, all around Utah. It's amazing. Yeah, the Horseshoe is amazing. Yeah, Horseshoe Bend is like a couple of miles away from that. It's very close, like 5 minutes car. It's really worth going there." Somebody asked Monsieur Niels Pyard, quand est-ce que tu vas prendre des photos en montagne dans les glaciers? Meaning, when are you going to shoot a glacier, high ice mountain? Whenever I can confront cold. I hate cold so much. I always try to go away from opportunities to shoot mountains by the cold. But it's so beautiful that I want to do the Glacier National Park, and so I have to get used to it, and I will do it very soon. Somebody asked if I focus mainly on travel and landscape, or as especially. No, I really like, my thing is two things: landscape, cityscapes. So traveling and taking photos. That's why I do. I'm so blessed because I work for Yellow Corner, 75 galleries around the world. That takes most of my work. And then I do books with Tennerhaus, a German publisher, and I do tutorials on how I do this traveling. So I'm officially a landscape photographer. This is what I do. My next trip is going to be, I'm doing a full workshop in Venice and Rome in March from the 8th to the 13th. We have still a few spots left if you want to come. A lot of people were asking a few questions about the workshop. First of all, the workshop is maximum 10 people. Second thing, if you have a friend or a wife you want to bring, you can. The room is paid for in a beautiful 4-star hotel, super well located. And you can, I'm actually going to put on my website today or tomorrow the hotel's link. So if you have a husband or wife, you can just come with. It's paid for. All the breakfasts are paid for, all the diner are paid for, and most of the lunch are paid for. All the transportation, because there's a lot of transport and guide and things to pay. All this is taken care of. We have in Paris and in Venice and Rome, we'll have Alex Medai, who has been living in Venice for 8 years, as our guide. And in Paris, I will be with myself, my daughter, and another guide. So you will be fully surrounded. You can come before the workshop. You can stay afterwards. It's usually what we do is we touch in the afternoon what we shot last night. We do some sunrise. It's very intense. It's 10 hours per day, 5 hours of retouching, 5 hours of photography. But it's so fun. It is so fun. And I can promise you, whether you come to Italy or you come to France, you will get the best amount of photos in a week that you ever did in your life. I mean, most of the people that came actually did, because when you do photography 10 hours per day for a week, you get a lot. And you are in Venice, Paris, or Rome, believe me, you're going to build a whole portfolio in 1 week. And I will help you all the way to retouch every single photo. So you can get all that information on my website, photoserge.com. Anyways, hi, Jenna. I said, why don't you come to Istanbul? I want to go to Istanbul. I have a friend who shot there, showed me some photos. I really want to go. It's on my list, but I don't have a date yet. Guillermo Cuarto says, photo looks exceptional, full of details. How is your general way to focus with Sony A7R? I don't focus. I don't use the manual focus when I did the Antelopes, because every time I try to manual focus, I don't get as sharp as autofocus. I don't know why. The Sony A7R focus is always, autofocus is often better than my manual focus. And I try to beat it, but it's really hard. Somebody asked if I prefer screw-on filters or square glass holders. Screw-on filters. Why? Because I'm lazy and I like the idea of taking them out and just screw them on. I don't have to put I have both, but I'm never using the square ones because I like the screw ones. Anyways. Bonjour, Jem from the UK. There's some nice words. Kata Trunja says, hi, bro. Bonjour, bro. All right. Let's see. Oh, Kevin Wagstaff says he's going to Venice in January. Any tips where to shoot? I'm doing a book on Venice right now, and so, of course, the Grand Canal is amazing. I don't have like a document with but write me an email and I'll give you some like confidential spot about Venice. You can write me on my website, or you just go on contact, and you can just write me there, and I'll tell you a few good spots in Venice. What I loved about Venice was, I went there for the festival, which was amazing. But the one thing I think is the most important is in the afternoon, often it can get overcast. Use an ND filter to make the Grand Canal flat water. Your photo just looks so more awesome because the cloud starts being stretchy. And so you can shoot all day. I mean, there's so much water in, there's not one car in Venice. So shooting with an ND filter is really, really the way to go because you just get so much. I don't know, just the photo looks just better with that flat water than this very high frequency texture, you know. And I mean, it's just anywhere you go in Venice is like a photo. It's unbelievable. Okay, graded filter. I don't use graded filter because I do HDR. Right. I actually have some graded filter with a square. I've used them once, and I prefer to shoot with like a polarizer to get as much blue sky and contrast in the sky, and then do a bracketing if I need to. But that being said, I only do bracketing when the sun is around. I never do bracketing if, let's say, I'm shooting during the afternoon. There is no sun in my photo. I usually underexpose a little bit, but I don't like to have too many RAW files in my hard drive. So I only shoot bracketing when the sun is around because I want to make sure I get everything. And when I did the canyon, because the dynamic range was crazy, and you will see that in the episode, for the first time I used a lot of the HDR from Lightroom, and you will see the result makes a really big difference on some very dynamic range photo like the Antelope Canyon. You check that out for Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Los Angeles time, the video comes out. Hugo Gracia says you should come to Portugal. I have been many times to Portugal because I was even in Porto, I think it was Porto, because they have a Yellow Corner gallery there to sign some books. And I did a few shots in Portugal. I have a few good shots from Portugal, and I intend to go back to Portugal. Beautiful country. Somebody says, House M says, if you started photography, what would you take for your first camera? Mirrorless or DSLR under $1,000? And which one in particular is best for you on that budget? If I would start now, I would buy this new Sony camera that just came out, which I forgot the name. It's the Sony that's above the A6000. I think it's 700 camera. You can change lens. I had it in New York with Matt Koskowski, and we were shooting next to each other. And I had the Sony A7R II. He had that camera. We were looking at the raw files. We couldn't see the difference. It was crazy. I mean, I didn't go into Lightroom, and this probably is difference. I think it's called the Sony RX something. You'll have to check it out. It's basically their new before the Sony A7 series. It's a mirrorless camera, and I would totally buy that because I mean, I only shoot Sony now, and I really like the photo. And I love Canon. I got Canon gear also, but when it's time to do beautiful landscape with a lot of sun, I prefer Sony. Mikko Kirjanvainen. I'm sorry if I'm really bad on names. You should come to Finland for winterscape, especially to Rovaniemi Korvaturit with real Santa Claus live. This is where Santa Claus lives. Thanks for great tutorials. Yeah, I have to confront the call, but yes, I will do that. No, it's not the A6500. It's something with XTR or something. I have to look it up. Mr. Phil, a French guy, says, Salut, je photographie des paysages, des portraits, des fleurs et de l'architecture. Je veux m'acheter une 24 mm, mais j'hésite entre le Canon 1.4 II et le Sigma 1.4. So, je vais répondre en anglais. When I am hesitating between two lens, what I do is I go on DxOMark. DxOMark, you can compare lens and it'll give you an exact, tell you which one is the sharpest of all. That's what I do. You would have to do that to figure that out. Gabriel Mermet-Bouvier says, Bonjour, que pensez-vous du focus stacking pour le paysage? Meaning in English, what do you think about focus stacking for landscape? I think it is bullshit. No, I'm sorry. Je suis désolé. No, I never used it. I know some people do. The only time I would imagine you need focus stacking is that if you want to do a frame in the frame. I had this problem in Venice where, in this case, it's not bullshit. I'm sorry for being a bad word, but yes, you can, stack different things and use it in Photoshop. I tried it for macro. It works great for macro. But for landscape, I never had a situation where I'm like, something is so close to me and so far from me that I really need to do focus stacking. But if it would happen, I would do it. In 12 years being a professional landscape photographer, it never happened to me one time. So, but hey, that's just me. Okay. John G, are you referring to the RX 100 advanced camera with 1.0 type sensor? Maybe. I have to check it out. I just know that I was shooting with Matt Kloskowski. He had that camera. He's a Sony guy. He represents Sony. He's a Sony artisan. And I was shooting with Sony A7R. And I was looking at his raw file, and they were as good as mine. I was like, what the hell? $600 camera. Okay, Mustafa Somalia asks, what is the best tripod you have used? No question. Uh, oh, maybe it is a point and shoot camera, not a mirrorless. Oh, okay, well maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is a point. I just was so impressed by the raw files. Uh, okay, what is the best tripod you've used? Gizzo. I had a Gizzo Mountaineer for 10 years, and I just bought the new version about 2 months ago because it died after 10 years because with the sand and the water and stuff like that. And the new one is even more amazing because the problem I had with my old Gizzo tripod is that the sand would come up inside the tube. The new Mountaineer, they made the tube that it cannot go inside, so I think I'm gonna take it 20 years instead of 10 years. But it's beautiful. It's expensive. It's like $700. It's very light. It's like 2 pounds or something, and it doesn't go very high. But I've been using it for 12 years and I love it. Okay, so apparently the mic is only on the left channel. I have to figure out how to do that. Yeah, sorry about that. Oh, somebody asked, Bidwam Baruha asked, how do you deal with changing light in long exposure? How do you determine the exposure time? I know there is apps that can do that where you take a photo and it's like at f16 1 second and you put that in the app and it says what long exposure it should be. I never use these apps. I've downloaded, I've bought the app, I've tried to use it. I hate it. What I do is I put an ND filter on. I know usually I've been doing it for so much time that like, okay, the good exposure should be around 1 minute. I take a shot, I look at it, too dark, I go 2 minutes, too light, I go 30 seconds. That's how I do it. And the light changes all the time. I just keep on taking photos until I get the right one. And usually, because if you use the sensor of a camera to determine your exposure, I'll give you an example. I'll give you a good example that happened to me 3 days ago. I was shooting the Antelope Canyon and I put onto the AV mode. So I choose the aperture, the camera, I choose the speed, and 100 ISO on a tripod, and it was reading me that I had to expose for 3 seconds. Even so, I had a compensation of 1 f-stop. It's a bit technical. But I found that the best shots to get the right light was, because from what I could see, was 1 second. So I often have this situation where I disagree with the camera. The camera thinks that the right exposure is blah, when I think is blah, especially in complex lighting, especially with long exposure. So that's why the app doesn't work, because the app is going to go based on what the camera thinks the exposure should be. But, I go on an artistic decision. So that's how I do. I put in an ND filter. Like, let's say we are in the afternoon. It's there's a lot of clouds, but the sun is there. I'm going to try 30 seconds. Let's say it's the end of afternoon. Then I put an ND variable filter, not an ND 1000, and I'm going to try just a few. Or what I do with the variable, which is really cool. I said usually I like to get at least 2-3 long exposure seconds to get the water flowing. So I set my time at 3 seconds. I set my aperture, and then I just screw around my variable until I've got a dark enough photo, and then I take the shot. So that's a good thing. But I only use variable filter in the end of afternoon. When in the afternoon when there's a lot of light, I use the ND 1000. Drew Armstrong said for Sony, exposure ramping on a time lapse does not work. There is a really cool little thing called a pulse for Nikon and Canon that allows you to exposure ramping for time lapse. I've never tried it. I'm actually doing a masterclass right now on time lapse, and I do all the ramping myself. I'm very comfortable with that. Does using an ND filter get better colors out of the golden hour? No, 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 no. ND filters will give you a color cast. When it's golden hour, when it's getting late, end of afternoon, if the sun is not in the shot, I try I rather go f22 and take a shot to not get a color cast. I'm actually doing some tests right now to see which brand has the least color cast. And I hear it's Hoya and not Haida and not TIFF. So I'm trying between the 3 brands to figure it out. Somebody says, Pavel, have you visited the Rocky Mountains in Canada? No, I've never been to Canada, but I'm going to Canada as a speaker in June for a photographic event in Toronto, I think. I have to look. I will post it up on Facebook. So if you're around there, I'm going to be speaking in Toronto in June. I think the 8th of June. First time in Canada. I'm very excited. Okay, Zura Geo says, how can I take a long exposure panorama photo? That's a great question. What I do is, when you have a scene, figure out what's the average good long exposure time that really works, and just take long exposure photos with 20% and just put it up in Lightroom, and it's going to work perfectly. Actually, I did a whole episode on this on my YouTube channel. If you type Serge Ramelli long exposure panorama, one of the best panorama I ever did, it's all there. It's all free and it's on YouTube. Okay, mesdames et messieurs, I have to run. I know there's more questions. Thank you so much for being there. I will see you next Friday. And don't forget, Tuesday morning comes out my episode on the Antelope and how we touch it. I'm going to give you raw files for free, 46 million pixel raw files. And I'm going to give you special presets for retouching the Antelope Canyon. I think you will enjoy this episode. It's one of the best I've ever done, I think. Mesdames et messieurs, have a great weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday morning. Bye-bye.